It's very clear. We need to progressively overload our core muscles like everything else. What I personally like to do, and this is again my personal opinion now, is to use a strategy that is in 5 steps. So step number 1, I like to start with isometric exercises. So these are ab exercises in which you're not moving. I want to emphasize control here, and we want to develop fatigue resistance. So can you hold the proper position, number 1? That's what I want to start with. I don't like loading. I don't like moving until I know you can actually just get in the right position and hold it. This could be your plank exercise. Can you show me that you can hold it for 60 seconds or 90 seconds or 45 seconds, depending on your age and fitness and stuff? So I'm resisting fatigue, which means I'm getting more confident you're not going to break down your position later in the training. Now, we might stay on these isometric control exercises for 6 months. We might stay there for 6 days. I don't want to progress to step 2, though, until I'm really, really, really confident that your obliques can hold the right position, that your RA can hold the right position, that your glutes can hold the right position, that your back, in all of those global core, shoulder girdle, all of it, right? We want to be able to hold the right position first. Once I'm convinced of that, I'm cool with going on to step 2. Step 2 is the anti-movement / kind of eccentric with fatigue resistance. So now, great. You can hold a lateral plank while you're tired. Amazing. Can you slowly lower laterally? To me, that's more difficult, right? So imagine doing a side bend. The progression would be, again, lateral plank, and we're good there. You can hold the lateral plank for, say, 60 seconds. I'm good. Now, the next progression of your exercise would be to stand up and do a lateral bend. And we're going to focus on the eccentric, kind of the lowering portion. So show me you can extend the movement with a little bit of load and a lot of repetitions and still continue to move properly. If you can do that, then I'm okay with us adding some load. So phase 3 is still the either anti-movement or the active eccentric movement, but with some load. We can get heavy now. Lower repetitions, less concerned about fatigue, and really just actually pushing strength here. Step 4 is now the movement side of the equation. It's the concentric action with fatigue. So now can you actively pull that thing up? Can we do the cable crunch? Can we do more movement-based stuff for fatigue? And then step 5, of course, is can we do the movement stuff with load? If you can get through all these things, then I'm very comfortable letting you do whatever movement pattern we want and going fast and going heavy and going to fatigue, and I feel like you're going to be in a really good position to do that. So that's my personal 5-step progression. It's isometric control with failure being induced by fatigue. Then it is either anti-movement or direct eccentric movement where failure comes from fatigue. Step 3 is the anti or eccentric where failure comes from load or heavy. Step 4, concentric, failure, fatigue. And then finally, step 5 is can you move actively, concentrically with a really, really heavy load? A really quick example of that could look something like this. So step number 1, that isometric control and fatigue resistance is your plank. I gave you examples of a lateral plank, but for this 1 through 5 example, we'll just say a normal plank. Phase 2, the anti-extension, eccentric fatigue resistance 1 could look like a reverse crunch. Still the same movement pattern, still the same muscle group. It's a reverse crunch. It's a dead bug. And we're going to do 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 repetitions of it, right? So now you're actively letting the rectus abdominis move eccentrically under control, and you're going to get tired by doing it. Step 3, we would progress to, say, a decline or a weighted crunch. So again, we're doing the eccentric portion. So you're going to start up maybe with your elbows toward your knees, and we're going to work on holding a plate or a kettlebell or a dumbbell and lowering it back down to the ground. Now, why this becomes a challenge is this will expose bad technique. One coaching cue I like a lot here is when you're doing flexion work to move one vertebrae at a time. This is on the way up and the way down. Again, I don't know of that much research here, but I personally have found in myself as well as clients and athletes, you're far less likely to aggravate back pain with flexion-based activities when you literally curl up and curl down one vertebrae at a time. So we would work on that, and we would load that assuming perfect technique. And if technique starts to falter, then we consider that a failure. And we just continue to work on the strength side of that equation. The fourth progression here might be going even further with that and adding a cable crunch where we can actively move in the concentric. So now imagine, you're kind of on your hands and knees and you have a cable over top of your head and you're using that to pull the cable down and pull yourself into the crunch. So instead of resisting, lowering the sit-up, you're adding load where you have to pull the sit-up with more force and more load. In this case, we're going to do a lot of repetitions. This is your classic sit-up. Fifth and final phase here would be adding load to that. So, holding the dumbbell or holding the cable with added load and doing the crunchy for really, really heavy for 5 to 8 reps. Most people, I'm confident in saying, have never really tried to go heavy with any of their ab movements. And most people that do try it are stunned with how fast their abs grow in both strength and particularly in size. If you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here.